He should buy the cow. He should buy the cow. Not the Cleveland Indians. I don't know if it's the Cleveland Indians anymore.
I love the fact that we're already live.
Did they do
the first thing that Aaron does as soon as we go live is welcome to Crazy Pinfalls, guys. What's up? St.Pats 316 party here. You got Angry Beaver, aka the co-leader of the crew, with Anakin JMT right there. And you got big sexy Kev right down on the bottom, and Mr. Aaron Entertainment, who just got slimed. A freshly new baby face Aaron Entertainment. Oh my god.
Well, people with beards are naturally heels.
Yeah, well,
we're also naturally smart.
And tonight we've got Dixie. Yes, that's a
Dixie Carter.
And Dixie Carter,
not Dixie Carter.
And on top
Dixie
of that, 'cause I don't know if anybody has seen this tweet yet. I'm gonna have to go back. Yeah, thanks. No, it's not Dixie. My friend called it Dixie Cup one time just because he kept trying to drop it and see if it bounced, and it's glass.
Pretty sure glass doesn't bounce.
I've seen it bounce. I have.
There's that big sexy beast in the kilt. Yep, we are rocking it a whole time. So I am wearing it still, by the way. I ain't getting up. So other than that, I mean, this is the St. Patrick's Day show, 316 show. It just lined up properly. We'll start with the week of wrestling just because that's how we do, and get through everything else. Hit the comment button, hit the like button, all that stuff. Definitely the like button, because that hits the algorithm. Last week we did with the invasion of the crew, literally 16 to 17 likes, and that's been a bit since it's happened, and it's helped out. So spread the word and stuff. Get that going. Get it up there. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So, if you comment on the Facebook stuff, send some love your way and show these guys how appreciated you are. NXT was phenomenal this week. So what did you guys think of O'Reilly popping back in, kind of like how Keith Lee did, just like strolling in, and just that camera angle was just sick?
So I had a little bit of an issue with execution because, like, Adam Cole knew that he was still around. Why did that distract him? Like, I know that's WWE's motto is like distract always, but he's in the middle of the title fight. Like, what are you doing paying attention? Look at the referee and go, tell him to get out of here. Or like, I wish that they let people be smarter, but that's the way that WWE does stuff. And
I think
NXT.
I think he's supposed to be out for 6 weeks, and he came back like in 2 weeks. That's why it shocked him.
But still, like, you knew the guy wasn't like dead. Like,
well, in all fairness to Cole, Ray, if you've seen him play Uno, he sometimes will just make some dumb mistakes. So,
but I mean, you're selling
gold.
Like, this is the dude who held the NXT title for longer than anybody else. Like, he held it for over a year. You don't do that by not being smart. Like, he should have said, "Oh, okay, like, all right." And again, I know WWE does
Who's
this all
Booster
the time
Gold?
too.
DC comic book character.
I don't know who he's referring to. Like,
DC comic book character.
Yeah, but nobody's dressed as Booster Gold. I don't. So.
Oh, probably Aaron, because of all the glitter that his camera.
Oh, you know what? Yeah.
2 days, guys. 2 days to the big movie. Okay, I'm hyped.
Pepsi.
3 days till Falcon Winter Soldier.
That too. So Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
I know some of these words.
Yeah, they're comic words. Not every.
I'm sorry to hear about Tim. Tim told me this earlier, so I'm sorry to hear that about.
Oh wow! Yeah, sorry to hear about that, Jim.
But it's just insane how they're doing these matches. I mean, what didn't make any sense at all was the fact that the matter is they gave Raquel and Dakota the tag titles, and then literally that night, just like they pulled. And this is how old I am. And if you remember this TV show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they did the Jazzy Jeff spot where they Uncle Carlton him out. Like, literally, like, hey, how you doing, everybody? Ah! Like, literally that spot with these titles. Literally, like, here you go.
I thought we'd be getting to that, but no, that pissed me off.
I warned you when I start drinking.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my story on it? on my show yesterday, I've talked about this, right? They're
Watch
rewarding Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai for getting second place for the tag team titles. I'm like, I have no problem giving the tag. I think the tag team titles is a stupid idea, but the way they executed it, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez face Shotzi Blackheart and winner gets the tag team titles. They just tweaked that a bit. It was quite obvious that they were setting up Raquel Gonzalez for Io Shirai. There was no need for them to put the tag team titles on those two. Just have them lose to Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, and have Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart be the first ones to get those tag team titles, not Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
Well, and the logic behind all of it was
Exactly,
stupid.
logic.
Because, all right, you have a team that got screwed. That sucks. And William Regal brought up, we keep getting screwed. He's not wrong. That's fine. But to say, because we got screwed out of these titles, in a week, mind you, because that happened 1 week before, they commissioned, designed, created, and made tag titles. I'm sorry, there's no way. You thought this one through to create these titles. So if you're going to do that, if you're going to do it on the premise of they got screwed, wait a little bit, let it breathe, and then say, hey, because this happened, and because we keep getting screwed, we're not waiting anymore. We're going to make our own tag titles. So in 2 or 3 weeks at this massive takeover that we have, we're going to have these two teams that won the Dusty Cup and were in the Dusty Cup. We're going to have them fight each other. And while I wouldn't like the fact that these two teams just fought each other for the titles, it's, look, we can't just hand titles to somebody. You have to compete for them. And then make another team do a competition to then get to fight Raquel and Dakota, so that at that pay-per-view, at that big takeover, you have a reason to do the tag titles. Don't hand them to somebody who just lost and then an hour later have them lose when you could have just said, hey, here's a match for the tag titles in the first place. It's all kinds of backwards and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
My point exactly.
Yeah. It's not logical.
Yeah, and the fact too is then I'm not sure if this was announced before both shows started, but tomorrow night Dynamite has got Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker main eventing in a lights out match. This would have been a great match to counter program against. Put a women's tag title match for the first ever NXT women's tag title match. You put that as the event, because those 4 women could easily main event that show, and suddenly then you have, well, crap. Both of these matches are matches that I would really, really love to see, and then it just comes down to which one do you watch, first.
And not to mention, the criticism on AEW is that their women's division isn't very good. WWE keeps claiming that, look, our women's division is very good, and when booked properly, they're not wrong. You have a chance to go, AEW's women are women. Who you got? Direct competition.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. I like it on a takeover, but next week works, or tomorrow works too.
We don't know what we're going to do with NXT tomorrow, guys. We don't know because of what the reports are, the breakout and stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
Things are all going to change because of that, and it's interesting to see where they go.
By the way, the fifth one.
The whole setup for the Today Show got set up differently. I was rushing and everything. Now Aaron's tag does look like it got slimed. Thank you. I just can't wait to see where they go from here, especially with that 2-night takeover that they're planning for the week of Mania. So that's just going to make something to make it easier.
That week's going to be brutal because you got the Raw before Mania, and now you've got
5 at shows within a whole from Wednesday all the way to Sunday.
Yeah. So that Monday before Mania, plus AEW Dark Elevation. Tuesday is Dark, then Impact. Wednesday, you got Takeover Night 1 and Dynamite. Thursday, Takeover Night 2. Friday, Smackdown before Mania. Saturday, Mania Night 1. Sunday, Mania Night 2. Monday, Raw after Mania. And then you got Wednesday, the NXT after Takeover, and then Friday, the Smackdown.
It'll be on Tuesday.
Might move
the rumor.
Tuesday.
Well, is that confirmed? Because now there's talk of maybe that's not going to happen because of where the NHL deal ended up going, and that was one of the things that they were thinking of, that if NBC Universal got it, that was why NXT was going to have to move to Peacock. But because that deal ended up going to ESPN, now suddenly they're not sure if NXT is going to move.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where the Tuesday thing will go, but I will be honest. The like Monday lead up into Sunday night for WrestleMania, that whole week, I am extremely excited because that's when I'm on spring break. So it's perfect.
And the Hall of Fame too. The Hall of Fame is going to be at some
Hall
point.
of Fame too.
Yeah. And they're going to they have all of the classes they announced last year, plus
and
whoever
it's all digital too.
This year. Yeah.
What did Kevin say?
Kev.
He said something about the Hall of Fame.
I don't know.
Oh, just that they're.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
that he thought it was on Tuesday.
The Hall of Fame's supposed to be on.
I think
I saw.
It's taped, right? It's gonna be taped, right? Then shown, right?
Yeah,
probably.
Oh man, this is gonna be interesting. We're just skipping Raw. Screw that shit. Other than the only thing good was the trans.
There is one thing to say about Raw, and I need to bring this up because I didn't realize this was announced until I saw it today. They announced, and maybe this ties more into Sunday, but screw it, who cares? They're doing Randy Orton. Okay.
Here comes the money.
Oh, there he is.
Money, 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 money.
Oh no. No, please don't associate me with that.
Oh, he's ready for Steve Austin Day with the red shirt.
For the first time
316.
ever, Big Money Drew is in the house. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up? How you doing? Nice to finally be on here.
Meet Daisy.
She's already halfway through that thing. Holy
yeah. What do you expect? I'm Irish.
You don't want to get
warm too.
On Raw last
water.
night, besides the Shane McMahon slime stuff, which I'm like, you know what? That we talked about this on the pre-show, but what we want to have is...
Hold on. Don't you steal my gimmick. Don't you dare steal my gimmick.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I just want to make sure that I'm getting credit for this idea because I'm sure I'm the only one with the idea too. It's not the case. I want Shane McMahon to, as I mentioned last week or the week before, I want him to get thrown off the pirate ship. I said that before. However, given recent events, I want them to go, hey, AEW, you had a Mimosa Mayhem match. We're going to have a slime tank match. And I want Shane thrown off the top of the pirate ship into a pool of slime. Give it to me. I will take 2 Braun matches for that.
That doesn't sound too bad. I mean, hey, they're already starting with the slime, so.
I'd rather see a Shane versus Goldberg match at WrestleMania. To be honest with you, and the winner of that match the loser of that match gets tired first.
I can just say that now with not because of the fact that Aaron's got the tag just got slimed. I'm having flashbacks of a TV show that used to be back in the 80s called
You Can't Do That?
On television.
Yep.
And all the Nickelodeon double dares.
I remember that
happened. So
yeah,
it's like
the double dare was my stuff. You said 80s, and I was like, ooh, I wasn't barely born yet. So,
there was a show in the 80s. It was kind of in the vein of all that, where it would do different sketches. But the running thing throughout was that if you said water, you would get water dumped on you. And if you said, I don't know, you'd get slime dumped on you. That's where the origin of Nick's slime comes from, is you can't do that on television. That's where the whole thing with slime and Nickelodeon first started, with that show. I remember that show.
And on top of that, with that show, you had 2 people who were extremely famous that were dating that it went separate directions in their careers. Dave Coulier was on that.
Oh.
And thank you. Oh, I'm not going to try. Alanis Morissette was on that show as a talent.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
That's
she was.
Weird. That's
You're right.
weird. I forgot.
God was on that show?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
I've forgotten so much about back then. So
Watching
on this
some of those old shows and stuff are just insane.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But, so as far as the thing I did want to talk about from Raw, Alexa Bliss challenged Randy Orton to a match at Fastlane. Why? Then this is not because I have a thing against intergender matches, because when Reginald did that match with Sasha, that was awesome. I was down for that. When Tessa faced Eddie Callahan for the Impact title, Sammy.
Eddie Edwards
Eddie-
mixed up with Sami Callihan.
There's so many.
And he
There's so
spells
many
it
people
wrong.
with the same names. You
He
know, you got
spells it wrong.
Pages. Anyway, Sami Callihan. When Tessa faced Sami Callihan for the Impact title, I was like, cool. I don't have a problem with them doing an intergender match, but this one doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what is it like? It's not even going to be a match. Like, if you're going to give me an intergender match, have it be an actual proper match, because all this is going to be is a smoke screen, smoke and mirrors, snakes and sparklers, as SRS likes to say, and all it is going to do is just going to delay it until we get Fiend and Randy in most likely a Firefly Funhouse match for WrestleMania.
It's a segment match. It's a segment match.
Just
So-
a sideway on this. If
yeah.
I told Anakin I was drinking tonight, he'd be like, "Oh, we're fucked."
So
Guess what? I'm already feeling it. I put some vodka
Wrestling-
in this too.
wrestling is all smoke and mirrors. Like, that's the gig. But I typically am not a fan of the intergender stuff. I think that you open too many weird doors with people who probably aren't ready for that level of like discussion. And I know that's not a popular opinion, and that's whatever.
Well,
That's fine.
I'm
But
going to
I
go
look
over that in a second and pulling the host card for a sec. Sorry about this.
Sure, no, you're good.
But we had intergender matches way before this.
No, I know.
I
we did.
mean, look at
Like
the whole
China and Chris Jericho, China and
the
Jarrett, like,
Divas era and all that stuff. Hell, we had Sable and Mark Mero versus,
We had Becky
Everybody.
Lynch against James Ellsworth on SmackDown.
right? And like
That was like
like-
a low point for Becky. She's like,
Right.
really? You guys
Yes,
take on
it was.
Ellsworth?
yeah. And like I said,
I
like,
totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, I did not.
Like, and I know that they've done them before, and I'm not opposed to them 100% of the time. Like you mentioned the Reginald match, I loved that match. I thought it was fantastic. I'm not big on it without a reason for it, and I think they've been telling a story, whether it's good or not is totally up for debate. Because like I get it, some people it's not for them. I think it's funny, so I enjoy it. So like I get them doing this match. I'm not surprised by it. I'm curious to see what angle they go with because I do expect it to be cinematic. I don't expect this to be an in-ring match because there's no way
I
that
do.
you're convincing me that 5'0", 112-pound Alexa Bliss is going up against Randy Orton and is going to hold her own in the ring. Like I love Alexa Bliss, but there's no way you're doing that. You're gonna get the Funhouse playground match thing, and I think that'll be a lot of fun because last year it ruled with Bray and Cena. So.
Yeah, but something tells me if they were going to do that, they would have announced it as being like a sort of like a Firefly Funhouse match, and I think too, I don't think you want to do something like that for Fastlane if you're going to do one for Mania. You want to save it for Mania. I fully expect it to be something that happens in ring, and you know, and it's going to be something weird, and you're going to have like Alexa who will be trying to like get in there and do moves, and Randy will just kind of look at her like how he looked at Nia Jax when she came in the Men's Rumble last year, and just kind of be like, "Really? This is really what you're gonna do?" And I think it's gonna be one of the things where he's gonna feel so weird about actually like wrestling her that there's gonna be a distraction. Fiend will probably show up, cause a distraction and whatnot, and it's gonna end in a no contest, and it's just going to be a waste of time.
So what I almost wonder, because I was looking at the card today, because I was getting ready I got to do my prediction show tomorrow. So check out my YouTube channel. I was looking at the card though, and they've already got like 6 matches on there. They normally add one after SmackDown. They've been doing like 5-6 match cards lately, and I know you're trying to like slowly maybe extend the view time because you're about to do a 2-night Mania in just a couple weeks. And you don't want to like wear out your audience. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something where it might start in the ring and very quickly Alexa does some kind of voodoo magic and Randy's coughing up motor oil again. And then all of a sudden he just kind of gets like the Fiend shows up, pulls him down to hell. And then we don't see them until WrestleMania. And then you do that Firefly Funhouse match with Bray and Randy Orton where Alexa pulled him into it, and that's where he has to like escape from, and they do it at Mania because then you can keep Orton off TV for 3 weeks because he's been on it a lot and probably would appreciate a break.
So what's your thoughts, Kevin and Drew, about this whole match?
Go ahead, Kev, you first.
I think it simply ends with it ends with Randy almost hitting lights go out, Bray instead. how simple it's going to end up being. Could be within the first 5 seconds of the match, but it all leads back to the Fiend coming back out and Firefly Fun and Bray. You got the same amount of history as John. You see some cool different iteration, legacy Orton.
Evolution.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
Group with Cody and
Legacy?
No, do you know what I want to see?
All
Do you remember?
generations.
Yeah, go ahead. I just thought about this. What I would love to see? Do you remember when Randy Orton, when he first debuted and he got hurt and he started doing those big, those little big yes of the was it Randy News Network giving him
yes,
injury?
I remember that.
I want to see one of those. That would be amazing.
My shoulder has 74% range of motion.
Yes. Oh, I want to see it so bad now.
Bray could have a lot of fun with that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
What about you, Drew?
And it seems that Randy is cool with doing stuff like this if he wants to be coughing up motor oil, 4 times a week, every 4 weeks.
It's just funny you guys calling it motor oil and the host works in an oil change shop. I mean, come on now.
Hey, maybe you're the supply. No, and like
this is my supply tonight.
My uncle actually knows Randy Orton a little bit, and from all things that he's told me, besides him pooping in suitcases, Randy Orton is actually a dude that he's getting his money. He knows that this is gimmicky. Like he's a lot easier to deal with than what a lot of people get the impression of, because his impression is being a natural prick, and he does a very good job of that. But if you get him behind the curtain, away from all that stuff, from all accounts that my uncles had with him, at least, and my cousins, he's actually a very cool dude. So
now he's never shaken Randy Orton's hand, has he?
In his younger career, he wasn't like the younger career. He was behind the scenes. He was a prick. Now he's grown up.
I mean, my uncle's known him for 15 years. So, I mean, he's been...
He had a rep. He had a rep.
No, and he totally did. Like I said, he was pooping in people's suitcases. Great people don't do that, but yeah.
He grew up. He grew up over the years.
Never shook Randy Orton's hand, did he? Did you remember that story?
I don't remember that. Oh, was that the peeing on the hands thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough about that stuff.
Yeah. I do think, though, I agree with Ann again. I think that it's definitely going to be an in-ring cinematic type of thing, because that's exactly what they did at TLC. And that's what they've been doing for practically this whole feud. That's what they've been doing with Alexa since the Fiend has been gone. She's always popping up on the turnbuckle. She's always changing clothes. They've always been utilizing the COVID era, nobody there, Thunderdome, to do these pre-taped things so that this way they can convey this type of supernatural stuff on TV. So I definitely see it going that way too, and probably the Fiend will come back, and then that will set up the WrestleMania match.
That's a good point.
So how did you get these supernatural powers? The Fiend gave her just here, have some powers to do the supernatural stuff.
I don't know. Maybe
Fiend is a sorcerer supreme, and you've got Alexa Bliss is the Scarlet Witch, and she needs.
Scarlet Witch. I get the Harkness because she
needs training.
The thing I'm most interested with is how, when this is all over, how are they going to turn her back into a normal person?
I think you do the kind of coming out of a cult type of thing, where maybe this is because it sucks that Nikki Cross has to be set aside for this whole thing to happen, but maybe eventually that story comes back and Nikki finally gets her friend back or something like that. You can do a lot of stuff where she kind of gets her eyes opened up again to seeing that she's been used this way, and she's got a very diverse skill set when it comes to acting and stuff. So I think if anyone's capable to do it, I think she's a good one to do that with.
I think with Alexa, if they bring her back into normalcy, let's say normalcy as best we can be, is that it's going to end up being something out of a comic book, because the Fiend is, let's just say this much, he's Wile E. Coyote, and anything he chased is the freaking Roadrunner. So it's
At least
literally going to be.
Goldberg.
He succeeds though. He
Yeah,
succeeds.
but
Unlike the Coyote.
at least at the end of it, though, it's gonna be like he's gonna just come out of it like Alice in Wonderland and think this is all a dream, but it's stored in her psychosis in some point. So I mean, we'd get something, but we'll figure that out when we get to that bridge.
Oh my goodness!
What's interesting though? What's interesting though?
I was reminded of I don't remember the name of the show, where a whole season was somebody got shot and then they woke up and it was all a dream. What was the show?
Roseanne?
I don't know, it was like an 80s show.
Oh, I know what happened in Roseanne. It happened in Roseanne too. I know that happened in Roseanne too.
Yeah.
What I can
Maybe
record to this whole Alexa Bliss thing is there's a really good movie, a 90s movie called Memento, where the guy loses his memory and literally has to figure out what happened to his wife. And when he realizes at the end of the movie, because the end of the movie is supposed to be the beginning of the movie, and the end of the movie, that's actually the beginning of the movie is supposed to be the
that is such a fantastic film.
He realizes that he's the one who killed his wife, and he has all these tattoos and stuff. That could be something where at this point, Alexa is trying to get back to the beginning of her story, rather where the ending of her story is. Yeah. It's just,
it'd be a really terrible way to pull her out of this. Is you recreate the movie 50 First Dates, and she just needs somebody to every day remind her that she has brain damage and that she doesn't have a full memory, and she has to be reconvinced.
Listen, her and Nikki would do awesome with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be like she was under a spell, and she gets the spell unbroken because what we were saying before when Braun was feuding with the Fiend and she had been kidnapped, like she's such a big Disney fan, and that was her being able to be the Disney princess in Dumb Distress that she wanted to be like her entire life. Like she wanted to have the chance to play that role. So I could even see it being her thing, like she somehow is able to break free of the spell or the trance or done whatever, and then maybe she
here's going to be saying like
a therapy session.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. She's Harley Quinn, right? She's Harley Quinn, right? She's Harley Quinn to the Fiend Joker. Harley Quinn eventually ran away from the Joker and realized how much of a jackass, how much the Joker was using her. Maybe that happens with Alexa Bliss. Maybe she goes away, realizes the Fiend is using her, doesn't really care about her, and she becomes her own woman again. Or
if you want to go the Disney route, why don't you just have Ryan Cabrera come out?
Ryan Cabrera versus Bad Buddy.
Because she deals with enough crap online.
No, I know.
Yeah.
In many ways with it right now. You bring out her actual real life fiance, it's gonna get
last week.
It's gonna get 10,000 times worse.
Yeah,
last week, what happened to her last week? Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is that every Disney female character who's a princess needs a prince. Well, that's her prince, and that's the only one who could.
They're all dazzle and distresses, though. All the other princesses in Disney are damsels, damsel
in distress.
All right.
I know I said probably. They're all like that.
We went
Nikki
from
Ross.
wrestling to Disney.
I don't want that from Alexa. I don't want her from that Alexa,
The last thing
any woman in WWE to be a dazzle in one of those.
This whole thing that we've been talking about is really one of the only things that I actually care about for Raw and Fastlane.
And that's a weird thing considering how they've done this, because it's been real weird, and there's a lot of spots where it's real bad. And it's also interesting to think that when did they start doing this? Hell in a Cell or right after that?
Before Alexa Bliss?
Yeah, with Alexa.
After TLC, she got more involved after TLC. Remember, he wanted to put on fire and stuff.
Kevin Morris.
Yeah, but the Alexa stuff started with Braun.
Started with Braun, and then the Orton stuff started off. She got more involved with TLC. She got more involved in the storyline after the Orton stuff after TLC because Bray wasn't there. It wasn't there, right? It's not here right now.
I want to say this real quick beforehand because of the fact that Teresa put this out. Mohanadi, she had Maui through the whole trip. Who are you kidding? That was the prince. I know I'm gonna get yelled at, but still, it's true. Maui was in the whole movie.
You're not gonna get yelled at. I'm gonna get yelled at.
Every princess has a prince in a
it's
Disney
chat,
movie, all right? Every princess needs a prince in a Disney movie, and the prince is always the hero. Snow White, Cinderella,
I don't know that they're heroes.
No,
but
Moana is
anyways.
the hero.
Mulan. That's a good example of her not being one of them. I know I was gonna say
she
it again.
gets the prince at the end. It's a role reversal there, man. Anyways,
Wrestling.
Since with everything going
Disney
on,
is evil, guys. Disney's an evil corporation, tricking the minds of young.
thank you for the Disney aspect, and we are not shaming a corporation.
Only WWE here.
They gave us the MCU, so I can't be mad at them.
So let me since we're celebrating 316, I mean, I'm already almost at the base of this thing. We're gonna celebrate half of the show talking about memories of Steve Austin's career because rightfully so, it is 316. Wow. And St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow.
Beer, pal.
So I'll go with one of you guys first.
Another one,
we'll
brother.
I have a tapper in my kitchen.
Of course you do.
Oh, hell yeah. What do you expect? Do you want me to take a picture of it and show you? It's like a little mini tapper cylinder.
Sure, why not? Let me see it.
Yeah, let's see it.
I'll tweet it out. But
Okay.
the thing about it is that I'll go around each one of you. I'll start with Drew and then work my way back and forth. Just talk about what your thoughts on, the former Hollywood blonde / ringmaster / Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yep, and Stunning Steve. All these monikers, but ultimately the one, the only, the ass kicker himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, what's your favorite match? What's your favorite memory of his career? And as we celebrate today.
What?
Yeah, so I actually didn't come into wrestling really until the Attitude Era. So I didn't know Stunning Steve and Hollywood Blonde and all that. So I was looking through my Twitter because I wanted to find the specific moment because I did tweet about it just like a couple of days ago. But I can't find it now. But I was just going through YouTube and there's a specific channel that does a bunch of old Attitude Era clips of matches and segments. I think it's called Attitude Pop. And they posted what actually was my first memory of Stone Cold. It was the night when McMahon gets arrested for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back and they have him apologize. And that was my first actual memory of. I just couldn't believe that I was looking through and I just saw that for the first time since, gosh, it must have happened in like 98 or 99. And that was what was the coolest thing I think about Stone Cold back then was obviously his rivalry with Vince. And it's such a unique thing that you just don't see that much of an employee getting to give it to his boss time in and time out and have matches and punch him in the face. And I think that was probably, for me at least, his rivalry with Vince was iconic and what always brought me to wrestling. Unfortunately, before I had left probably around like late 2000, right before WCW, but before WCW got bought out. But that was always the fondest thing for me was anytime he was interacting with Vince because you never really saw the employee boss relationship like that before.
What about you, Ray?
Me? It's kind of the same thing. I came in to WWE late 90s during the midst of the Attitude Era. We talked about that on your birthday stream when Sean popped in and just kind of going through that whole time period there. Shut up. Didn't do that, by the way. Did not do that.
No,
But
Ray, when Sean popped in and stuff, it's gonna be on the 1 year episode. His jaw went like,
Jesus.
and the thing about it is, the whole time I was picturing his head going all crazy, all like, winning a World Series or something like that.
Whoa, temper it a little bit. But no, so I'm with you. Like
This
that
is
was,
my liquid courage right
fair.
now.
So my experience, the same thing. It was, knowing him as the feud with Vince, and it was only through like, historical research that I learned about Stunning Steve and about the Hollywood Blondes and all that stuff too. So, I mean, that is my core, and I'm sure for a lot of people that's what it is, because even if you were watching in the early mid 90s, he was a good hand, I guess, so to speak, but he wasn't stone cold. He wasn't the legend that he is now. I do agree with some of the stuff that he has said about how he wishes that things had ended a little differently, because like he would have loved to have been able to put over Brock, but do it the right way. Don't do it on a cold, unannounced match, because that's stupid. Like, you have two iconic generational talents. Do that the right way. And while I appreciate the fact that he's willing to stand up for something like that and say like, no, we're not just wasting this, we still never get it. So like, I kind of wish that he had done that. So, but yeah, my favorite memories are just, the stuff with Vince, the promos, watching him stun people, just because that was, the way people would sell it. And The Rock especially, that dude oversold the stunner like no other. That man was backflipping off of it and everything.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
I watched that today, man. I watched that because they're doing the Stone Cold WrestleMania matches today on the network. They were showing that match from WrestleMania 15, 17 with The Rock.
All right, Drew, you got your say on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like all disorganized because Anakin just came back in. Aaron, what are your memories of Austin 316?
Oh, I got a lot, man. It's like, I admit in the 90s, I was more of a WCW guy, but I did watch WWE Raw and Nitro and all the WCW and WWE pay-per-views at the same time, the Attitude Era and WCW Nitro, whatever. But Austin, some of the best things, moments of Austin. He has good matches, great matches. But I love the segments. He was mostly the beer truck segment with The Rock, Vince, and Shane. The segment where he had a fake gun and made Vince pee in his pants. If you remember that.
Yeah.
The hospital segment.
Yeah, Tim actually just pointed that out when Vince gets hit in the head with the bedpan. That's hilarious. Now, this is one that doesn't get talked about as much because it's like a controversial one, but his Brian Pillman stuff where he did the home invasion with the gun and stuff. You could not do that now. Although I guess Impact killed somebody with a gun in a wedding recently, so maybe you can. But that was a big one. Like, I didn't see that one live because I wasn't quite watching yet, but when I watched that one back, I went, oh my gosh. So that was a good one too.
There's one thing you guys haven't touched, but I'll talk about mine in a second. Go ahead, Kev.
I wasn't finished, but he could go if he wants.
No, go ahead, because I think
I was just going to say something about Austin. I was just going to say something quick about Austin. WCW, if there was no rise of Austin, I think WWE would have been out of business and WCW would have won.
Yeah, that's been done. Go ahead, Kevy.
So I didn't really start getting into wrestling like around when WWE was bought by WWE. So my earliest stuff is when Stone Cold turned to Vince McMahon and Stone Cold, the Jimmy Crack Corn segment with the guitar. But my biggest memory is the night Stone Cold went back to being Stone Cold and just breaks in the building when WCW is invading and just starts cranking off stunners and stunner. Just that image of him clearing the whole room. It's just, Owens using now reminds me of that sometimes, that I can clear the whole room with this move because everyone can take it. And I can kick anyone's ass with it. It's just this walk he had that they try to capture with new stars. He just can't because Stone Cold's one in a million. We all wanted to root him because he was a badass going against the establishment. Yes, he was a badass who knew the line and knew when to step back and knew when he was appropriate to cross it.
And I think what made that one specifically, because if it's one I'm remembering, I think they had to pull a double turn because they turned him and they were turning the Rock at the same night, like in the same segment. I think that's what that was. But yeah, that was
when was it? What are you talking about? It was Brett in 2001 or 97.
2001.
97 was which one? 2001.
2001.
No, they were both baby faces, but Austin did turn heel.
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Anakin JM Ty?
So, I was trying to get more information on some breaking news we've had, which we'll get to. But
you can steal more of my thunder.
No, I was not. I'm not. But the first time I ever saw Stone Cold would have been sometime in the late 90s. I have a vague memory of a build up to him and Undertaker having a Buried Alive match.
Yes.
I don't remember when that was.
Rock Bottom 98.
Okay.
I remember that.
And I remember I started watching it because my friend was really into wrestling and he was talking about it, and I remember I asked him once.
He was sacrificing Austin. Remember
I don't know.
This segment on Wally was sacrificing Austin on the Undertaker cross.
Yeah, I remember that. Trust me, I'm old enough to remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember stuff from half the time. Although I do being at the point where I was young enough. So that was 98. So I would have been 11, and I probably and I thought that it was like. I still thought it was 100% legit. Like I didn't realize it was anything. So I literally thought, "Wow, they're actually going to kill somebody on TV. How can they get away with that?" Of course, now I know it's different. But then the first time that I actually fully really started watching on a regular basis was in the build-up to Survivor Series 2001. So I caught the very tail end of the invasion, and I remember. And I remember there was one time where Stone Cold comes out, and the crowd for whatever reason was booing him because I guess they were supposed to because he was a heel. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, so we don't like him now. Okay, next week on Raw, Stone Cold comes out. I start booing at home, but the crowd's cheering, and I remember going, what is going on?
Yeah, they turned crazy next week.
I don't understand this, but I do remember I think it was that final Smackdown beforehand, where it was Rock and Austin in the ring. Or actually, no, this was in the build up to Vengeance. I remember now. Rock and Austin in the ring. That Smackdown before, which was where Chris Jericho became the first ever the undisputed champion, and Rock's got the WCW title, the big old belt, which they were now just calling the World Championship, and Austin's got the WWF title, and they each have beers, and they just kind of salute each other right at the belts before taking a drink. And I remember thinking, wow, like imagine if we get that that match there, especially because they were talking about, will we see a WrestleMania rematch at Vengeance, and obviously we know it's not. But I missed a lot of Stone Cold's time when he was actually like the hottest thing on the planet. So most of my memories are of him afterwards. But I mean, that when he came back as a co-Raw GM with Eric Bischoff and those segments he had, those were absolutely hilarious. I love those. And then
Sheriff Austin.
And that was later because then he lost the Survivor Series match, or his team did, so he stopped being the co-Raw GM, and then he comes back on the Sheriff, and he's on the ATV, and he's driving all around, and I love that part so much, and you could tell he was having a blast doing it, because it's like, okay, I can't wrestle anymore, but I can still be entertaining and just have a lot of fun, and I loved it.
Well, for me, sorry about that, because we got also breaking news we got to talk about too. With all of these young gentlemen, considering I'm the older one in the panel, I have a story, and because I remember WCW with the the Hollywood Blondes. Yes, I'm that old to remember that. I remember when cable boxes were a lot bigger. Yeah,
Remember, he was in
Wasn't that
Dangerous Alliance too. He was in Dangerous Alliance with Paul E. Dangerously
yes. So what happened is that
before Hollywood Blondes.
my early thought of knowing who he was just the Hollywood Blondes. But then when he got into WWE, I was like, this guy is half shaved, $1 million man with the title, and he was wearing that god awful belt. And the one memory that stuck out to me, and there's two of them, and one's a personal one because I used to work in an arena. I got the luxury to watch them actually tape a Raw back then, and this is how old I am. Sunday Night Heat. Yes, Sunday Night Heat.
I remember Heat.
Yeah. So the one is that struck me the most a chord with me because it was here, and I've done the retro review on Fightful. Go check it if you have Fightful Select. Go check it out. Me and Sean Sapp talking about WrestleMania 14 was that Austin Tyson turmoil with Shawn Michaels because of the fact that that was the first and last WrestleMania ever in Boston. And the thing about it is the city made it like a huge thing. It was 20 degrees outside. They did a whole thing of Vince McMahon, like it said in there, arm wrestling, Stone Cold outside of the Boston Harbor for a radio station that's no longer around here, WCBN. They did a public, workout where they had the ring in the middle of Government Center in 20-degree weather and just let it go. But for me, as a match, that was the major match that got me hooked for the most part. But, for personal reasons, when they came here and they built the arena here in 98, it was the first major televised recording of a wrestling event at that point, and they changed the name of the street from Songus Way to Stone Cold 316 Way. They gave him the key to the city and everything. So me being a very naive, what was it? I was 17-year-old me. I always thought, because I was such a huge fan of wrestling, I didn't care about the blurred reality of predetermined and physicality being real. I thought, oh my God, it's Stone Cold. This is awesome and stuff. There he is wearing a Patriots jersey, 316, walking by the Austin Walk with the belt in here, the belt in his hand and stuff. It gets better. So if you don't work for WWE, now that they have the fourth wall completely obliterated at this point, but in the 90s they didn't, I got downstairs to remove the trash can. I think Vader was about 400 pounds at that point, stretching in front of the elevator for his match that was going to be on Sunday Night Heat. And there's Austin talking to The Undertaker, talking to Rock, talking to all these people. And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, with 2 bags of trash sitting there. Austin's walking up past me and he's like, hi. And I'm just like, I'm a huge wrestling fan at that point, like I am still, but it's not like, the actual, me seeing this stuff. It's like the whole fourth wall goes down. And I'm like, holy crap. And I was just all ecstatic. Like, I had to beg to go to that to work that show in the concession stand. That was the first, and there was another one that I did for a concert I absolutely wanted to be at, but I couldn't get tickets, and just was so worth it. And him saying hi, I was just like, I was waiting for him to Stone Cold stun me or some shit, like a 17-year-old version you see on, local news. Stone Cold Steve Austin give to the key to the city. Stunned a local student at Greater Lowell Technical High School. Yeah, that wouldn't have gone up. But it's
was it like a Stone Cold high, or was it like a?
It was just him,
high?
just like a walking by high. It was like, for me, it was just like a big deal for being a 17-year-old. So It was just like one of those things. I was just like, And on top of that, going to a techno high school, and everybody laughs at me at this, and they're probably all watching. I was one of 32. Let this sip you in. I'm the only guy in a marketing shop at a high school, at a technical high school. Let that sit in for your minds. We have a whole male panel right now, and literally one female viewer right now being like, yep, Kevin knows how it is. But anyways, all of them at once. So to them, wrestling at that point was not talked about and stuff. So we had a kid used to walk around and stone cold people just for fun. Literally, would literally walk around there, turn you around, stone cold stun you. You'd literally pop against the locker and stuff, and he would run, laugh, and go.
I've said before, I've had many a stone cold stunner in my day. I've been the brunt of those. So yeah.
Well, for a week, right, and nobody knew this, the kid would literally walk around the shop because some of these girls that now have families or married and stuff like that, they were pretty much one of the most gorgeous women in the high school, and the popular girls too. And I just got to sit in there. One of the kids had a crush on him, walked around, saw me, stone cold stunned me, laughed at me, saying, "This is because you're the only person in the shop." Ran away, and when his crush showed up, and literally she'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was just like, "We're friends. It's just a friend," and I'm just like, it would be like that nonstop, same time every day. So one time I just turned around, pushed him against the locker, and said, "Leave me alone," and walked away. It stopped. But after that whole Austin thing and the kid doing that, I thought it was just too funny that it's just Austin 316. He kept rephrasing everything. Austin came up, like from the what to everything. It would literally be in school the next day, like whatever he did, because I would go visit the high school and he would be working there as doing stuff for the cafeteria and everything for the school, and he would get paid for it, and you'd hear him say, "What?" And I'm like, it's just all these great memories of stuff. And Austin was a great person to a lot of people too. I mean, that documentary proved it. When Kofi got to drink with him, it was just like insane. And Kofi's from New England, so it's just like, if I got to have a beer with Kofi, I'd be like, "Oh my god, this is the shit." Imagine this much, and I'll put this to you guys. How cool it'd be if one of you guys got to sit with Stone Cold and have a beer with him.
It'd be pretty cool. And I'm not really a beer drinker guy, but you make exceptions for the Texas rattlesnake, as I mentioned in our group chat earlier. It's not really for me, but that's one of those things where you do it anyways, just because you get the chance to say I did this.
So yeah, same. I'm not really much of a beer drinker either, but I've actually been interested in trying his beer.
I would try it just out of the fact that he's the one that did it, because I'm like I said, I'm not a beer guy, but to drink a Stone Cold beer, you gotta try it.
So the Stone Cold IPA, because I got access to it, I bought a 6-pack of it. Very good. If you don't like IPAs, you're not gonna like this, but my family, we grew up and drank all different types, so it's it gives you a little bit of kickback at the back end of the palate, but literally it's really good. But of course, we all know I'm not drinking Stone Cold tonight, so and believe it or not, this is the first beer.
Every time we go to get that beer, it's sold out, man.
If you have a Wegmans in your area, they're a huge grocery store. We have this place called Market Basket around here, and a lot of people know about it because of the whole stock broke kind of thing, about how they shut down, kicked out some of their employees and stuff. And it's just interesting to walk into a Wegmans and look at it as a supersized Market Basket. And you walk in there, and the whole section is literally an Irish. And I'm going to say this straight out. And if you're Irish, I don't care. I'm Irish. Literally, when I walked in, I thought I was going to piss myself. It was like an drunk Irishman's wet dream. Alcohol, all the alcohol you could see for miles. It literally looked like you could fit a BJ's wholesale club, an entire store in one section, and have it all alcohol. And literally right in the corner of it is Stone Cold IPA, a whole huge case of it. So I was just I had to grab it.
I have to remember that when I visit home and get to Wegmans again.
Yeah, but anyways, breaking news came out just now, It's probably already been on Twitter for a little while. It's probably on the Fightful Twitch. So we're getting another pay-per-view on Mania Saturday coming from Impact. What are you guys' thoughts on that? And yes, I'm not drinking right now.
That's stupid.
Well, so the pay-per-view itself, it's hardcore justice, and if it's the way that they typically do them, it's probably going to start at like 8 and it'll probably go till about 11. You're always going to get the Impact crowd's a little weird if you're like Impact specific, because WWE, and I know we rip on it all the time, but like if you're an Impact guy, you're not going to watch WrestleMania anyways. And I think it's a good thing to say, hey, while there's all this wrestling going on and it's all WWE centric, if you're looking for an alternative, here's what it is. I will not be surprised if they say, hey, AEW, because we're already going to see at Rebellion, you're going to see Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann for 3 title belts in one match. I'm excited. And if you did catch Sacrifice this last weekend, it was a good card. But I think it's smart to, while that's going on, because we normally see a lot of indie shows and stuff going on in the in the area where WrestleMania is. Impact, why should they be excluded from that? So I don't think that it's going to be a great buy rate, but it's on their streaming service anyway. So it's one of those ones where you're not losing buys off of this one.
So there's been a lot of talk already online and on the Mr. Warren Hayes Discord. There's been a lot of talk about it, and Warren brought up an interesting point. We don't know what time this pay-per-view is going to be on.
True.
They could do it at like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and by the time WrestleMania is done, by the time WrestleMania starts, Impact is done. Which, if that's the case, then suddenly it's like I have way less of a problem.
They're smart.
NWA is doing that this Sunday.
Yeah, and there are people that have been saying, well, you've had other promotions running shows over WrestleMania weekend for years. Just because WrestleMania is 2 nights doesn't change the thing. And I said, yeah, but nobody has done a show during WrestleMania itself. It is the biggest wrestling show of the year, regardless of the quality of the build or the quality of the show itself. Wrestle Kingdom is, by all accounts, a much better show, has been a much better show than WrestleMania for years. WrestleMania is still the biggest show of the year. It's been around longer.
The only show that comes close to WrestleMania ever was Starrcade. In terms of popularity, was Starrcade.
Right, exactly.
So what are you? I was gonna say, sorry, Anakin. What are you guys' thoughts, Drew and Kevin, on this?
Well, I'm not really an Impact guy.
All depends on the time.
Sorry, Joe Pearl, if you're watching this.
He's on Twitch right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's on Twitch. So I can say whatever I want. Haha.
You can say, okay, first thing, if you ever come back on this show, Drew, because you're always welcome to, it's an open invitation. You can say whatever you goddamn want on this show. You could say, like, Gandhi is the best, guru of all time. You could say Muhammad Ali is literally and still the best of all time. You could say anything you want. I really don't care because it's an open forum. You do what you want.
So I'm not really an Impact guy. I really just started getting into it because of the AEW affiliation. So just as a quick story, my name, Big Money Drew, if you don't know, I know we did the whole Shane McMahon thing in the beginning, but it has nothing to do with Vince McMahon, with Shane McMahon, I promise you. It's actually what's currently going on in AEW right now, Big Money Man. That's where I got Big Money Drew from, because back when he was doing the Big Money Matt and then into the Broken character for the first time in Impact, I was checking out Impact at that time, and that was what really glued me to Impact. And then I stopped watching a little afterwards. But, in regards to this, I guess it's just the people are just going to watch whatever they want to watch. So, and I think Ray or Anakin, one of you guys said that it doesn't really matter if they're on during WrestleMania because the people who are going to watch the Impact show weren't going to watch WrestleMania anyway. So I kind of agree with that. So it doesn't really bother me that much that they're doing it. Will they probably suffer in buys and views? Yes, because naturally people are just going to want to check out WrestleMania.
Well, they'll suffer in views during the live streaming of it, but it's on their streaming service, like it's on Impact Plus that you don't like. Yeah, so it's not. This isn't like what you get with some of their bigger ones. This isn't Slammiversary where you're asking people to shell out $40 for the pay-per-view.
Oh,
and so then
so
you're
Impact
not,
Plus
you're
special
not,
pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay.
You're not paying for it. Oh,
Correct.
okay.
Unless you're obviously when you pay for Impact Plus every month, which it's like
you're paying for it,
$7.99,
but it's subscription base.
Yeah, but
like with the WWE Network.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And
okay.
And I kind of like Anakin. I hadn't heard that idea of like doing it in the afternoon. I think that would be really smart. I will say that if they do that, I will have a long day, but WrestleMania days are always like that, and it's a choice. Like, I'm happy to watch wrestling all day long, but if they do it during, I will be one of those people that has two screens up because I'm gonna watch them both anyways.
Yeah. And see, that's just not something that I can do. I've tried doing it with Dynamite and NXT on the same time, and I felt like I was missing stuff from both shows because I've got ADHD. I just can't focus. I just can't focus on one thing, And we've never had anybody put a big show going on at the same time as Mania. The closest we've had is we had. On Saturday night, we had Takeover going and Supercard at the same time, but never anything going up against Mania. If they go up at the same time as Mania, I think that's a huge mistake because from everything that I've heard lately of Impact, they've been doing really well. They've been putting on really good shows and really good pay-per-views, and I want them to do well and to be the most successful that they can. And the most successful they could be is if they do go on earlier in the day and not going up against WrestleMania. Because at this point, the only company that I think could be successful going up directly against WrestleMania is AEW. And Cody Rhodes said when that company first started, they were not interested in running a show on WrestleMania weekend. They're like, you know what? We can let WWE have their weekend, and we'll have our own weekend, and it can be just fine. And that's what's been, and that is what has been great about it. And I don't think anybody needs to try to counter program WrestleMania. I don't think that's necessary.
Well, for what I was gonna say is because I want to ask you guys a question because we could talk more about Impact later on because we are doing a watch along for Fastlane on Sunday, and we'll talk more about Impact on that too. The question I want to say is, and this is just from your own personal experience, since St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow, and for my family, it's a major thing. What is your favorite St. Patrick's Day moment or memory? I know Anakin. Let's say Anakin go first because I know he has to go first.
Are you talking like for wrestling or just in general?
Just.
I'm just making sure that I
just
I
in
know.
your life, like
Okay.
it's not wrestling really. It's just a personal question.
For me, it's a weird thing because St. Patrick's Day originally was the day that my ex and I were going to get married, and then we ended up pushing it off by a month or so. So we ended up getting married 11 months after our first date. But as far as like St. Patrick's Day, like my family's not Irish. They're also not big drinkers. So I mean, it's fun to wear green. I have an excuse to wear my Green Lantern shirt, But for me, St. Patrick's Day has never been, then I get to get a Shamrock Shake. But apart from that, like St. Patrick's Day for me, it's never been that kind of real personal holiday that it is for others.
What about you, Drew?
All right, and
well, I actually have to say mostly what Anakin said. I'm not Irish, nor is my family Irish. But I have been to the St. Patrick's Day parade a couple of times being in New York City.
Yeah, that's an awesome spot right there.
Yeah. And actually, a childhood friend of mine who is Irish, actually marched in the parade once. So that was a really cool moment to see. But that's really like the only like actual real memory of a St. Patrick's Day that I have.
What about you, Ray?
So for me, it's a little weird because like I am Irish too, and to me, I look at the way that like, and I don't mean to get too like philosophical and deep and all that stuff on a wrestling chillin' show, but like this is something that like as a historian and everything, like it bothers me a little bit, to be honest with you. Like I like the idea of celebrating Irish heritage and all of those types of things, but the way that it's done, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of, because, and again, like this is not me being anti-alcohol. Like you make your own personal life choices. Like I am not judging, but like the idea that everyone goes, yeah, put on green and go drinking, and that's supposed to represent Irish heritage, when if we pay attention to the way Irish people have been treated in this country, it's not a good
It's
history.
appalling.
It's extremely appalling. Like, and we're not the only group that's had this happen to us. I get that, but like the way that it represents Irish culture, I don't think is fair to the culture itself. Because like my family came over during potato famine, all that stuff, like that classic Irish American story. Like that's my background for part of my heritage. And so when I see, oh, put on green and get drunk, and now you're Irish, after they were treated terribly for a long time. Like when Kennedy ran for president in the 1960s, he was, oh, he's an Irish Catholic, we can't vote for him. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah, I know.
it's just it. And now it's all this thing of like, oh, you're trying to like take and culturally appropriate something. And again, I know we're not the only culture that deals with that, and so there's an empathy towards other holidays like this that I have for that. But personally, I like to bring up the other sides of stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, I think during our pre-show, I'm intentionally wearing orange tomorrow so that when people go, you're not wearing green, and I can go, yeah, there's 3 colors on that flag. So just to represent that unity and that history there. And again, I didn't mean to get too deep on that one, but that's kind of my,
because I'm going to give you my thoughts, because there's a lot of personal memories too.
Sure.
Aaron, what about you?
Well, I know it's a big holiday. I'm not Irish, so it really doesn't mean anything to me that much. But for you guys, I understand how much it means to you. So I have nothing else to say. So enjoy St. Patrick's Day. That's all I gotta say.
Kevin.
So I'm Irish, but we didn't celebrate it a lot. Like we do the corned beef and everything. But in college, obviously, I started celebrating it more. And my fondest memory of the fact that I went drunk on St. Patrick's Day to get my very first passport picture when I was 17. Walked into the courthouse, drunk as can be, handed in all my paperwork, taking the photo. You can tell in the photo. Oh, I was so hammered getting my first passport.
All right. So for me,
At 17 too, huh? They didn't do anything at the government.
well, for me, it's more. I'm going to give you 3, and one of them is. I'll pull up the picture too if I can find it. Some of the time, one of the memories I have is that my family is Irish as Irish can be. I mean, we're from Lowell, the Lowell area, so you're around Chelmsford, stuff like that. And we're outside of Boston, so a lot of our friends and family go to Southie. It is just a lot of memories. Is my family is not big, but it's a decent sized Irish family, and we would take over restaurants. And when I mean restaurants, we would take literally half a table on St. Patrick's Day, and literally just, like I said, it would literally be one of those things where we would have an entire section of the restaurant to ourselves, and it got to the point where, people kept telling us, we're not allowed to do that anymore. One of the people said that it wasn't fair for our family to take over the restaurant itself because of the fact that how good size are. So after that, we weren't allowed to go there and stuff like that. As a kid, we would literally listen to Irish music, have dinner at our aunt's, at uncle's house, stuff like that. But the one that hits more home, and I have more pictures of my mom and stuff like that. And the last one, it's more very personal, but this one I'm going to show. That is the last time me and my mom ever had a beer together. And the last photo I have of us all at St. Patrick's Day was 2019. She didn't drink or anything like that. She would just hang out, would be family, eating corned beef and cabbage and listen to music. But I've never had at a bar, sit down, had a drink with my mom, and literally just sat and had a deep conversation. We'd have deep conversations like everybody else would, but I never got to know certain things about my mom when she was in her 20s and stuff like that. I learned more after she passed, but this was the only time that me and my mom, just us, our family was there, but just us sitting next to each other and just had a beer and just talked. Like not as mother and son, just as, people in their adulthoods who respected each other very deeply and understandably. It hurts me a little bit because, this is the second St. Patrick's Day that she has around. Last year was the pandemic. Our family canceled everything. And it would have been nice, and I'm probably going to try to do this because I'm going to my friend's house tomorrow, to just leave a beer out for her as something saying, hey, we think about you, we love you, and we miss you. But for me, St. Patrick's Day, just if you put the history and everything away from it, it has more sentimental things because of the fact that a lot of the memories I've had are on St. Patrick's Day. So, but we're going to wrap this up on a sad, sentimental note. I know you're not supposed to do that, but first things first, I want to thank you guys coming on. Anakin, the crew came in, Ray, Aaron, Kev, and Big Money Drew for the first time. I appreciate it. And a good announcement since he's on. Me and Drew will be doing the audio podcast recording tomorrow, and it's going to be fun talking about all of this again, but more in depth about certain things. Other than that, we'll start with Drew, work our way. Drew, tell them where they can find you, my friend.
Well, I am at Big Money Drew on Twitter, and I also cover wrestling. I cover mainly WWE, Raw, SmackDown, and the main roster pay-per-views over at cagefights.com.
What about you, Mr. Callahan?
You can find me on Twitter at AngryBeaver1127. I do prediction shows for Impact, AEW, and WWE pay-per-views. I tweet about wrestling stuff, and yeah, give me a follow. I've got a pay-per-view prediction show that I got to record for this week's Fastlane, so I'll be producing that tomorrow afternoon. So give that a look, and I'll always have that pinned at the top of my Twitter account. So if you follow me on Twitter, AngryBeaver1127, you can find it there.
And on top of that, if Anakin and Ray agree, they'll probably be on the watch along, and we'll be making fun of the 6-match freaking challenge on that thing. But Aaron, you've been doing a lot of Spider-Man streams. Tell them where they can find you.
Oh yeah, I've been doing a lot of Spider-Man streams on free time. So you can find me on Twitter at AaronJsFan. You can find me on my YouTube account at Aaron Entertainment, as you can see in down below. Where it's next to it, I just got slimed. I do 3 shows a week. On Mondays, it's all about wrestling. On Thursdays, it's all about pop. It's about pop culture. Saturdays, it's about love sports. But note to people, if you're interested in knowing this, there's no show for It's About to Pop this Thursday because I'm going to watch the Justice League Snyder version, the actual good version, hopefully. Saturday is where I love sports, but starting with baseball season, Thursdays and Friday shows might change a bit depending on when my Blue Jays play during the days. Saturdays usually a lot of afternoon games, right? And Thursdays tend to be sometimes afternoon games or off days. Saturdays my shows most likely be changed sometimes to Fridays and sometimes to Saturday. If my Blue Jays play on Saturday night, I'll do a show on Saturday. If they play in the afternoon, my show will be moved to Friday. And Thursdays will be less because it's off days. You know, if you know baseball season, Thursdays tend to be off days and stuff. But if it's not, my Thursday show will be on Wednesdays. So come check me out.
All right, Kev, tell them where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter at Kevins_Temple, just like it says below me. Tweeting about wrestling, random Eagles stuff, things like that.
So I wanted to say thank you guys for being on here. It's been an honor and a privilege. If you, and this is just for me saying this, if you have any family member that's doesn't have to be Irish or anything like that, if you do anything special on a holiday for them, you know, even putting a rose or a carnation or an Irish flower on it, do it because it means a lot more to you as a person than anything. Other than that, we got a lot of stuff going on around here. By the way, Ray, that contract got approved for our end, so we'll be sending that Brock deal soon.
Nice. All right. Cool.
With
So
the
once a year,
caveat,
because it's been a year since Buck wrestled.
yeah, but the caveat is that him and Anakin have to make a show. That's in the clause.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll discuss. I'll look at those terms when they get sent through.
Other than that, check out Fridays. Fridays or Saturdays. It hasn't been determined this week, but check out In the Mix on the new channel with Rob Wilkins. I think he's going to try to get Aaron on this week, but it was awesome. Rob's doing a lot of great things over there. Check out the Fightful stuff. They're on right now. We're going to raid Hannah. Hannah's on. So instead of doing Fightful with Joel, you might as well raid Hannah tonight on Twitch. If she's watching, you know, hey, what's up? Just, you know, check out, is it Listen to Your Boy this week or is it Listen to Your Girl this week?
It's Jimmy's back.
I think it's back
Okay.
to Listen to Your Boy. Yeah, Jimmy's back.
So check them out tomorrow. Check out the Wednesday Night Wars. You know, just go to Sister Custom Designs. If you're in the Lowell, Massachusetts area, go to Uppercuts Barbershop or 5 Star. You know, check out the new channel. It's in the description below. Also, we're trying to get the Twitch going up to get affiliated so that way I can actually do certain things for these guys. The 1 year is coming up. We are, believe it or not, 8 shows away from this channel being 1 year old for this show. And that's very hard because there's not a lot. And you can even ask these guys, do you see a lot of shows reaching 1 year? I mean, I think there's one show up that date-wise, time-wise is right behind me that I know will, but you don't see many podcast shows on YouTube to make a year or past that. So it's big time honor that it's actually going to be like this. And then I'm going to, with that stimmy, as everybody's calling it, I'm in contact with somebody about producing some hoodies for guests, past guests to say as a thank you. I'm trying to get 15 made. So there'll be certain people rocking those wicked crazy Pinfalls navy blue, you know, sweatshirts and stuff like that. Also, Anakin, I did pay up our bet, so you can't say when am I getting it. So, but yeah, everybody, we got, you know, 8 more weeks to the 1 year. We've got freaking 6 more shows till 50 episodes, and I'm gonna have the crew on there, but I'm gonna see if I can get people coming in and out. The question I've been getting asked is, and this is why I was going to bring up during the show, because we'll be leaving on this note, is when it's going to happen. If NXT gets moved over, what are you going to do? I don't know. And that's the honest truth. But do a good deed, pay it forward, check all these guys' stuff out. You know, thank you for big money to get on here, and hopefully we can get them on and more. You know, we're going to raid. No problem. We're going to raid Hannah. Considering she's just sitting around playing, you know, Miss Pac-Man. So, other than that, hope you guys have a good night. Just enjoy St. Patrick's Day. Shalantha.